And we're live. So we're here for another episode of Elite Encounter, first one of 2026, and we're gonna start it off strong with Chariking. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing fine. Bit too cold winter to survive, but we're making it through. What about you?
Yeah, it's kind of cold here as well.
Mm.
I'm in Cluj-Napoca, Romania, and here it's currently, I don't know, like -2 or something outside.
Mm.
Where are
Mm.
you located, and what's the temperature like there?
I think I'm located in Denmark, and I think we had like recently where it was like it feels like minus 15 degrees, and we've been having a lot of snow coming through, and it's just been absolute like hell to to kind of get back and forth from school and all that.
Yeah, I bet.
So
But I've heard this saying where there's no such thing as bad weather. It's just you're not dressed properly or something along those lines. Have you heard that one before?
I've heard that one plenty, and I feel like it's very wrong because you can go in, you can come into like the winters and just have like 5 layers of clothes on and still feel like you're not enough well equipped. And then when you come to summer, you're like, okay, I'm basically half naked now. What do you want? What else do you want from me?
Yeah. I actually grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, where it's a desert city, so it's the opposite.
Mm.
It's too hot. Like it regularly gets above, I don't know, 35, maybe 40. I forget what it is in Celsius, but it's so hot there. Like the problem with it being hot is that you can only take off so many layers.
Exactly, and then you're done. Then it's after you take all that off, then that you got nothing else.
Yeah.
Then you can bring a little fan up.
Yeah, so to some extent now I actually strongly prefer winter and like proper winter with snow and cold because you can put on more layers also to a certain
Mhm.
extent. I guess if it's -20 or something, I don't know about that.
Then it's a bit more difficult to put on more layers because at a point you're just going to be like a little round guy. You're going to be able to roll around basically.
Yeah. So is that where you grew up? You grew up in Denmark?
I grew up in Denmark for I think it was for 7 years, and then my parents like, hey, we got this opportunity to go somewhere else. So they took me to Chile and Mexico, which I lived there for 8.5 years. Sorry, for 8 years. Sorry, and I think it was really fun living there, and especially learning different culture than from what was usually the norm, you could say, from like Europe to the Latin American. And my mom says this a lot, is that like I got to be a child for a lot longer than I would in Europe. And I
Interesting.
think that kind of, yeah, and I think that kind of let me also play Unite or play like video games for a lot longer, which is actually how I got introduced to Unite with some of my friends downloading the game. And I was like, oh yeah, let me join in as well.
But how does that work out exactly? How did you end up being a kid for longer?
I mean that's due to like sometimes the culture in like Denmark and Mexico. In Denmark, it's much more like you kind of let your kid just go out. The second they're like teenagers or like 12 years old, they're kind of let your kids just do whatever they want because now they're free. There's not much a fear of like your kids being kidnapped or something bad going on. So you kind of like loosen your grip on your children. While in Mexico, because there's always kind of a fear of something bad happening to your kid, your parents are still holding on to you in a sense.
Mm,
And I think that like lived through my parents that then allowed me to be a kid for longer, to kind of still live through being like, I guess having fun and not really, yeah, just being with my friends in a sense and not
mm-hmm.
really working around the world alone. Like I still had to protect my parents wherever I was or wherever I was
Interesting.
going.
Yeah, like I said, I grew up in Phoenix, where it's like suburbs. If you've ever seen what life is like in the suburbs, you probably know that without a car, you're like screwed. You're stuck. You
Mm.
can't do anything. So until you're old enough to drive a car, and even when you are, you still need a car. You pretty much like you're much more isolated than in a country where you can just walk everywhere. And I know
Mm.
Denmark usually is much more walkable, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's very walkable. I think
What about
there's
Mexico
like,
and Chile?
I mean, they're also very walkable. It's just like sometimes I think it's both of them are very walkable. It's just always that like kind of fear that was kind of going through. Like
Yeah.
I was basically at past, I think it was like 5 p.m. If I ever wanted to go outside, I basically wasn't allowed alone.
Yeah.
Or I wasn't allowed to go somewhere like that far away from home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but at least you were
Uh,
able to walk during the day and stuff like that.
yeah,
And
yeah. I mean, basically, but it was still like, but we were still always like a bit like, oh. I still remember like I think the first time where I was like truly walking alone was like it was like a Mother's Day I think, and I told my mom. I remember I went outside to go get my mom like a Starbucks cup coffee or something for Mother's Day. And my mom is like, I come back and I'm like, here, mom, here you go. And she's like, oh, how'd you get this? I'm like, oh yeah, I walked down to the Starbucks that's like 2 streets away. And she's like, you did what? What are you doing? How dare you? You could have been kidnapped. And I was like, I think maybe like 12 years old by that time. And like that was
Mm,
what, from then on, it was like, okay, now like like, how do you say, the chains can slowly be broken in that way
I
of
see, I
letting me
see.
go a bit.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I kind of had a different situation because being in the suburbs, you can't really, go far or go many places. So I did have like kids to play with in the neighborhood, but also because it was Phoenix, it was so hot that during the summer when we had time and we weren't at school, we couldn't play outside. So what we did instead was we played in the garage, but we played video games in the garage. We played like Super Smash Bros. And I don't know,
Mm.
Yu-Gi-Oh! And, and stuff like that. So as you can imagine, we grew up playing lots of video games
Yeah.
as
No, because
well.
like I've heard at least about like a lot of Phoenix. I have two friends who've been to Phoenix, who live in Phoenix as well as like Pennsylvania. I know that's a bit further away, but
Yeah.
like I remember always them telling me about like, oh, when it's summer in Phoenix, you can basically like go outside, cook an egg on the street
Yep.
because it's just so incredibly hot.
Yep. I remember one time I went shopping, grocery shopping with my dad. We bought like one of those frozen pizzas and we had to go to another store. So what we did was we put it on the dashboard of the car to let it cook, and it actually cooked.
So you come home and it's like already good pepperoni pizza, kid. Let's go for it.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean,
That's
that saves for
Phoenix.
dinner then, I guess.
Yeah. But so yeah, you kind of have a international experience, which is nice. I
Mm.
Nowadays I consider myself like a slow traveler, kind of like a digital
Mm.
nomad, but not quite because I travel slowly from place to place. And I really love interacting with international people, people who travel, because
Mm.
which maybe you would relate, but when you travel internationally, you get like a different perspective on different
Mm.
cultures, different ways of life. I don't know, it's almost like appreciate life even more. Would you say that's true?
I mean, definitely. Like, I loved every single second I had in Mexico and Chile. I spent primarily my time in Mexico with. I spent 5.5 years there, and like you get a good understanding for like where like the differences in the countries are, like where one country is strong, where one country is weak, but also like you get a different appreciation for culture. I loved in generally like a lot of like Mexican culture and how they were as people. Like they were very welcoming, very happy, very uh like good to go, and like everyone was just welcoming. And then I come back here to Denmark and everyone's just like very cold and just like, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you in this many years. I'm going to keep my distance from you. And that was really hard coming back home, I think, for me,
Interesting.
going from that culture change. But it also made me realize that I still love Mexico incredibly much. And I love everything that it has, its culture, its food, especially. I would kill for some normal Mexican tacos
Oh yeah.
for my life. Like, I
Oh
miss
yeah.
them so much.
Yeah, when I made the move to go to Europe for like for good-ish, I would say,
Mm.
the number one cuisine I missed was Mexican food. Like
Oh,
some good
because
tacos, some like real street Mexican food because Phoenix has
exactly.
a lot of Mexicans and a lot of Mexican influence, so I got a lot of that.
Mm. No, I said like there's like there's one Mexican shop in Denmark, and that is it, and that's the only place I go to. Like that has, because like funnily enough, one of the people that we knew in Mexico who then moved to Denmark was actually working in that restaurant.
Small world.
Along with like other people who went to Denmark to work, and it was just really fun because you could taste the difference. It didn't taste because they didn't have the same what's called ingredients that as they would in Mexico, but it still tasted a bit like it, which
Yeah,
was better than going down to like the random Danish taco stand and just being like, this is a half of what it should be.
for sure. I feel the same here in Cluj. It's the second biggest city in Romania, and there's only one authentic. Um, it's not Mexican. It's like I think the owners are Argentinian and Colombian or something. I don't remember, but they make really good authentic South American
Like
food, Latin
Like, oh,
American.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, super super good. It's the only authentic place. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you can go to the mall and get some Taco Bell.
Exactly, exactly. We're lucky that we there's no Taco Bell here, so I'm like, if that comes to Denmark, I'm not gonna touch it. I'm not gonna go near that.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I kind of still like Taco Bell. It like
Hmm.
it has a sentimental connection with me somewhere deep inside because in America, there's not really many places you can just go to hang out with your friends, and Taco Bell was like the hangout spot.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. I think like if, like friends, they just find like random places to
Of course.
kind of be. I think for me and my friends, we're just like we would just be like, oh, hey, do you want to go to like this person's house? Like, okay, yeah, sure, let's go. And then just everyone went there.
Yeah.
In Denmark, it was like, okay, let's go to the like park, unless it was winter. If it was winter, we're just gonna stay indoors because we're not gonna touch the cold out there.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. So how did you end up
Hmm.
coming back to Denmark? Did you come back for work, for school, or something like that?
Uh, I think like we came back to I my parents wanted me to finish my last year of like have my last year of Danish schooling to kind of be with the system. So when if I did return, I wouldn't be screwed over by the system as much educationally, and therefore would still have the opportunity to go to a lot of like high schools in Denmark or universities as continuing, because you need to have then the Danish system, at least you need to have a ninth grade what's it called, you need to have passed ninth grade, and then
Yeah.
you can do whatever you want afterwards. And so we decided that we needed to come back to do that, and then we just stayed because like we're close to family, we've been moving so much, so let's just stay for a bit and let's
Mm.
relax.
So are you currently still in school or are you just working?
I'm currently in school and working, so
Oh.
uh, yeah, it's a bit of a doozy to say the least. Having to kind of like manage. I think my team is also very annoyed at me sometimes that I have
Mm-hmm.
work, and I have to be like, oh yeah, I'm at home, because it takes me like an hour to get to work and to get to like home and work
Oh,
and an
geez.
hour back. So my team is sometimes like we would like schedule a scrim or something together. Like, oh yeah, I can't. I'm at work, and I'm like, oh okay, well we're gonna do something at 10, I guess,
What are you doing
because
for
that's the
work, by the
only.
way?
I work at the IKEA that is in Denmark, and the restaurant where I help. Sometimes help in the kitchen. Sometimes I help in the dishwasher with all the dirty plates, and sometimes I help outside, kind of helping customers with their experience at the
I
restaurant.
see. I was gonna say maybe you can try to work remotely, but I don't think that's possible.
I think it's gonna be very hard, if I'm being honest. I mean, unless I become a genius and suddenly develop like a robot or a clone, then maybe, then I can maybe work at home.
Well, technology is going in that way. Soon there's gonna be
That's true.
teleoperated robots and stuff like that. But yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's true. That's very true.
What are you studying, by the way? Maybe your future job can be remote.
I I'm studying. I think it's was for my school at the moment. I'm studying chemistry, history, and political science.
I mean, like, do you have a
As my
focus study specific thing?
no. At least from that's how my not my school my how my school doesn't work. Our school works in that like you can pick some of your subjects that you want in like a high grade or like high level. Maybe like similar to AP classes
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
sometimes.
had that
Yeah.
in the U.S. as well.
Mm-hmm. And then it's like that's for how it works for us, at least, that we get to like pick. Oh yeah, we want mathematics at like a standard level, and then chemistry at a higher level, history at a higher level, and
Yeah,
that's I think I chose Spanish because for me it's like it's a decently easy grade. Um, then it's like and then it's a political science, chemistry, and history, because those are the things that I really interest myself with.
yeah, yeah. Well, you probably just haven't reached a point where you have to choose something more specific. But when you do, I
Mhm.
recommend trying to do something that can be done remotely, because let me
Yeah.
tell you, man, it's you when you're able to be location independent, it really changes everything because like I don't know what the
Mm.
cost of living is like in your specific city. What city are you in, by the way?
In Copenhagen.
Copenhagen. Yeah, Copenhagen is
Yeah,
expensive.
yeah, yeah. Very. Yeah, it's very expensive.
I
There's
visited
nothing else to say.
actually a few months ago. I visited. It's super nice.
Oh.
I would love to do like my master's degree there.
Mm.
Something that really blew my mind with Copenhagen is that people just go swimming in like the canal, not the canal, like the
And yeah, I get what you're saying, but I think you're mixing us up with what's it called? I think you're mixing us up with the Netherlands. The Netherlands has where like people would like put their clothes in their bags and just swim to work.
no, no, not
Um,
that. No, I mean like there was like I remember specifically. I went to like like a
mm,
park next to the I don't know. It's not really a canal. The
like a
big
little
big
like.
body of water. I don't know.
Mm,
And there was like a designated roped off area where you can swim. But it's not just that area.
oh,
It was also like
yeah,
there were ladders all along the whole entire edge where you
mm,
can just climb in the water and go swimming. And people were doing that. People were going swimming.
yeah,
And there was even like a mobile, it looked like a train carriage, which was a sauna. So you can go swimming,
mm,
pop in the sauna, go back in the water, and like blew
mm,
my mind. I even saw something like that next to a mall. Like I went to a mall
mm,
and there was like a co-working space on the third, fourth, fifth floor, I don't know, facing towards the water. And
mm.
in that body of water right there was another roped off area where people were going swimming. And I didn't even expect it because I was like,
Oh,
who's going to go swimming? All these people working are just going to stare at them. But nobody cares.
yeah. I mean, okay. I think I know what you mean because I think you were at what's called Fisketoll, um, which is like yeah, it has direct line to the water, and like I think yeah, in the summers everyone's gonna use them as like normal bathing, like but usually it's like you're not allowed to go in the water, and those what's it called, those stairs or like little things, I forget what, ladders are actually
Ladders.
meant for when if you get too drunk and you fall in the water. That's what they're actually meant for. But
Maybe.
yeah, then they have the actual ones, which is like yeah, you can go bathing down there in the summer times.
Yeah.
Sometimes some people go in the winter times, and I think that's nuts personally. I've done it once, and I was freezing when I was getting out.
Yeah.
But
It builds
I've seen
character.
it's gotten very big in like a lot of Nordic countries
Yeah.
that just like take a dip, go up in the sauna, and just take a beer and then have fun. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. I love that. And honestly, I would love to stay there. But like I said, the cost of living is really high. And going back to what I said about working remotely, if you
Mm,
can find a way to work remotely, especially with a company that's based in that city, then you can go
mm.
and live in another city that has half the cost of living. And then you have so much leftover money, you're living like a king.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, exactly. It's just you have to find that spot where you're just like not close to Copenhagen, just like a little bit outside. But
Yeah,
usually
that's why a lot of
like
people go to Malmo.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, a lot of people take to Malmö because it's like it's the easiest and there's a direct line from Malmö to Copenhagen,
Yeah.
which I regularly take every day to
Oh,
get to
really?
school.
No
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's because it's the fastest way to get to Copenhagen, at least from where I live.
Oh, wait a second. Are we talking about the same place? Because Malmo is. Let me look at a
It's in
map.
Sweden.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's in
it's in
Sweden.
Malmö. It's in Sweden. It's the little part of that's right outside. The train I think you're talking about is like Øresundstoget in Danish, and I live a bit outside of like Copenhagen. So I have to sometimes travel a bit longer to get to a train station or a bus station
Mm-hmm.
that takes me directly to Copenhagen.
You know, I might have visited the same IKEA that you work at because
That is possible. That is possible. You
I
never know.
I went there just to get some meatballs and show my wife what the IKEA meatballs are all about.
Mhm. I mean, they are good. They are good. We have to not deny that they are very good
Yeah,
meatballs.
yeah. All right. Now let's get more into Pokemon Unite. So,
Yeah.
based on what you've told me so far, you're much more into like playing with people and getting that community vibe, so that people so that people can be more tight knit and that sort of thing. Can you expand a little bit more on that? Like, what exactly is it that you do with to help the community, to build community, to stay involved with the community?
I mean, I always want to try like playing with some people that I haven't played with. I haven't been playing as much as recently with other new people because I've been having school. But usually, I really always want to kind of like help the. I always want like the EU community to kind of get a lot more tight knit, because I think that's that's gonna help the game be a lot more healthy, a lot more better. But I also think it allows you to kind of find new people who you might do really well with. I think when I've played with Tippy for a while, who's a member of my team, we found each other just from like playing a few duo queues, and then I was suddenly invited to like a random French server, and he was like, "Hey, let's make a team together." And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Let's see where this goes." And that led to us being like in a very good spot. I mean, it's a little successful team that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think and I think still today there's a lot of people who I know at least that are very good but haven't really had the chance to shine. And I'm sad that I haven't given them a chance, but mostly because like yeah, I think I live and that's where I'm a bit hypocritical, I guess, in that yeah, I sometimes don't give the people who actually deserve a chance, and I should do better on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky thing because there's a lot of factors when you want to take into account what it means to have a good team. Apart from like
Mm,
their skill, even if they're amazing at Pokemon Unite, you got to take into account like the team dynamics, how they communicate, how they take
mm,
feedback, all these kind of things. And I kind of feel like I'm in that situation, or at least I was for a very long time, where I felt like I was really good, but I couldn't find a team. And until I started like participating in tournaments and stuff like that, I was kind of plateaued at a specific level because when you start playing with a team, you have to change how you communicate. You actually have to coordinate, make callouts, give feedback, not clog up the comms, and understand what is different when you're playing with a coordinated team. Because I quickly learned that my builds and my strategies, um, to put it very succinctly, they get shit on, absolutely shit on by
uh,
people in tourneys. Man, let me tell you, like uh, after Blaziken got buffed a few months ago, he got slightly
mm,
buffed. I started playing
mm.
Blaziken with Big Root and Potion, and double
Yeah,
stacking. Yeah, and I get crazy stats in my matches, like
mm,
100k plus damage dealt, taken, and healed. Like,
mm. Uh, I mean, my team also tried with it. We tried with Big Root for a bit to see, like, because a lot, we call it the Brazilian build because a person in like LAIC, I think, was playing Big Root, and so
yeah,
like our team was like playing with it just to see like if it worked. And like in a few scrims, it was actually really good. It was actually working really well because Blaziken got so much healing off just doing normal moves that like we could get some games because he just healed too much or could do too much damage, and the team wouldn't be able to do anything about it. So I think it was like Big Root was like it is a fun item, and I do think like sometimes like it's good to always test to see like, oh, does this actually work? And of course it like, and that's where like it changes from competitive play because of course, I mean, I can go into a game and I'll find like a billion wild charge Sarahs where
yep,
I'm just being like I just want to like rip my head off because no one's really understanding how to play against it. But then when I go into comp play, I'm like, okay, I'm not really needing to worry about it because what's he gonna do? My team is just gonna bunch up in a little block, and what he's gonna hit one of us.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Then he's dead afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. It's easily counterable. But it was interesting to
Mm,
see how I'm in a Discord group called Engage Fight Club. And
mm,
after I saw that specific match where they used Big Root in a tournament, I think it was at
mm,
UCS last year.
mm.
I posted on there, look guys, there's a Blaziken using Big Root. This is legit. Blah blah blah. And
Look,
they
guys,
won. They won
my
too.
strategy.
Yeah, and I did play it a lot, and at some point I
Mm,
ended up playing in a match against Chris Heroes, top lane.
mm,
I was Blaziken, he was also Blaziken, coincidentally
mm,
top lane, and we absolutely destroyed him early game. And the only problem was late game. My team died, and I was like 1v3ing them. I couldn't really peel off, and well, he ended up there killing the whole team, and we lost.
mm,
But all things considering, it was very fun and interesting because the next day he ends
mm.
up posting a video where he uses that same exact build.
I feel like you have to get some bit of revenue for that. I think you have to like put a copyright claim, and just be like, hey, I sent this. You didn't even give me credit for it. What is this?
Yeah, yeah. But this is a recurring pattern that I've noticed because
Mm,
I've seen it happen in other with other strategies and other Pokemon. Like for example, Mewtwo X and experience share.
Mm.
This is something I did for a long time, and everyone like if I would do a solo queue match with Mewtwo X and experience share, I could see my allies get tilted. They would just run in circles and get mad. But then it appeared in a tournament and they won. And then after that, nobody else got tilted. It's like, what the
No,
heck,
then
guys?
I mean, I think it's also that because I think a lot of people like when they look into like competitive play, they're like, okay, what is being the most used, and that, and well, for what reasons? And when they're like, oh, this isn't being used, so therefore it must not be good. There's always a good Pokemon that's not being used. One could be like the lack of like a player base for the character, or it could just be that it hasn't been discovered yet. In a sense, like for the
Mm-hmm.
longest time, I think it was what's the name? I think Palmot and Cypher for the longest time, especially in Europe, were not like being played at all or being played very little. But after people began watching LAIC or the World Championships, people began to realize, hey, Cypher is actually really really good. He does a lot of damage. He has a good ulti. He has dashes. And then people played Palmot. First time they were like, oh, it's too weak. It's not doing enough damage. And then now playing it in tournament, someone from LAIC is playing in a tournament and it's being banned or it's a really good pick, and people are
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, let me try again. And I think that's always where like I really find Unite interesting. That like if you try hard enough, you can create a meta, or you can create like a thing you want, or like something that can maybe change the entire meta up.
Yeah.
Uh, I think
This
I
is
think
something
in
I've done also with Blastoise. I've done this with Charizard, with Tyranitar, all these wonky builds that people got tilted about. But it's like what you mentioned. Like I think people need this validation from the pros to see them being used before they can even consider it. But that's like you mentioned. Like that's what I like about Unite. Like it's a MOBA, but it's not like very strict in the roles. Like some of the all rounders can play as like attackers almost. Some of them can play as defenders, and you can do these different kinds of builds. Like even Eldegoss can pretty much be an attacker. Like
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but taking Eldegoss, it could be a full out heal or full out support, or just full out like damage healer in a sense that like it can put a good amount of DPS onto enemy teams, giving them a good slow. But it can also be a wonderful heal option for the early game, which I
yeah,
think like that's where it's like amazing how the game changes. I think Mew was like the most flexible and interesting character that, since it had coaching e-ball, it's allowed to be basically whatever it wants. It can just go top lane for a while with an XP share before the XP share changes, and just help top lane as much as possible while still giving a good DPS. It could also just go bot lane, get 13, and probably do even more damage.
of course. So did you before you got into Unite, did you play other MOBA games or was this your first one?
No, this was Pokemon Unite was my first MOBA game ever, and it was like I think because I remember I played like maybe 2 games of League on one of my friends' computer, and it didn't make sense to me. There's too many buttons. I did not like buttons, like what's it called, that you had to use your mouse and some keys. I've never liked that in a sense. But then for some reason, Pokemon Unite kind of clicked with me because like, oh yeah, one thing is like it's Pokemon.
Yeah,
The other thing was it was on the Nintendo Switch, and I had nothing better to do than in the summer was just to play Pokemon Unite.
yeah. Well, I can give you a quick history lesson. Essentially, this genre of MOBA comes from uh, a real-time strategy game. I think originally the very first type was in StarCraft. It was called
Mm.
Aeon of Strife, but it became popular with Warcraft 3, Frozen Throne. That was where the first Dota appeared, and that was like the one that really brought it into the mainstream audience, kind of. And I actually played a lot of the original Dota back in the day, but this was before they had things like matchmaking and all this automated systems. And you just play with
Yeah.
randos, complete randos, and you never knew what you're gonna get. It was also very unbalanced, like extremely unbalanced.
I mean, how lucky we are right now, at least, to have all of these things,
I know,
and,
seriously.
and
Like,
still complain about it.
but at least it didn't crash.
That's a good point. That is a good point, though.
But you know, they should be. I think they announced a new patch which should be fixing it. We'll see. Anyway,
Hmm.
but yeah,
Please,
so
that's all we want.
I don't play on Switch. I play on mobile, so it's not really a
Hmm.
big issue with me. Mobile is better. But anyway,
Hmm.
like you said, like
I'm lucky I have a Switch too because at least like helps the loading times.
it does, it does. But yeah, that's actually something I noticed with League of Legends because I ended up playing a lot of League of Legends as well. And then after that, Wild Rift. And the problem there is that there are way too many buttons. And if
Mm,
you have a gaming phone with buttons on the shoulders or on the back of the phone, you have a huge advantage because you can press your buttons faster. And for certain characters, it's really important. Whereas with Unite, yeah, it could still help, but there's less buttons, so it's not as
mm,
crazy. And of course, it's
yeah.
also on Switch, which people prefer playing it on Switch.
Mm. I mean, I think it's also just accessibility, but also with like the rule changes that have been recently about like especially USC and NASC that it's only these specific devices that are allowed to play. The Nintendo Switch is like much less. There's a lot less rules because it's just like, okay, bring your Switch or your Nintendo Switch 2, you're done. Whilst the
Yeah,
phone is like, okay, you must have specifically this random Samsung phone that doesn't even have that good of a hard drive. And it's like, oh, well, cool, I guess.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's more standardized, but
Hmm.
it is what it is. They had issues in the past with people with different phones, so I can see why.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I can see why it changes it so it doesn't screw with the system. But yeah,
So, what's the main role that you play in Pokemon Unite?
I play attacker or attacker mage for Volticons. I really enjoy the role actually.
Oh, wait, you play for Volticons? Did we play against you
Yeah.
in this last tournament?
No, I think you played against Engage. I think
We
I saw
did.
you play against Engage and you won.
Yes.
I think, which is
Yes.
honestly is really good. We're it's actually the first people we're facing this month in the EU league. So if you have any tips, you can please give them to me. We need them for against them, by the way.
I don't know. To be honest, when we played them in that last tournament, I felt like it was too easy. I don't know if just because we're.
Damn, man, can't say that. That's not okay. That's
I
not
don't
good to
know if
say
it's
about it.
because I don't know if it's because we're just really good or it's
Mm,
because it felt like to me it felt like they were tilted because we played them in the losers bracket, and once
mm,
you're in the losers bracket, maybe people lose hope or something. I
mm,
don't know, but you know, with the team I'm on now, I'm on the Jigglytuffs. I think
mm,
we have a really solid team. We were playing against some pretty good teams, and we were doing really good against most of them. We won against some really good ones
mm,
as well. And I'm honestly, I believe that with this team, we can take it pretty far. But we just
mm,
need to practice more, compete more. You know, we
mm.
just got to vibe.
Yeah, I think that's the most important for like a team to be good because you can statistically like it's just like in football you can statistically put the best players on a team and yes they would be doing good but if it's not a team that's coherent and working well together the team is going to crumble. Like I've had teams in the past where like that worked like they were good players but like it didn't work out because we didn't really vibe with each other or we didn't really build off each other very well, which is why I'm like very happy for the team I have right now, which is like I think everyone on the team is just like having fun with each other.
Hmm.
We regularly talk about the game. We played games together. We've been trying actually to find like a game where we can play all five of us together. We suggested first Minecraft. However, we realized very quickly that it wasn't going to work because one of us doesn't have a PC, so it's not that effective. And then like we've been just going through other games to see like, okay, which one could work. We found one game which is like Arc Raiders, but that's only like me, Snow, and Leon playing it time to time.
Hmm. Yeah. So wait a second. That means that first you found the people, then you found the game, not the game and then the people, right?
Are you talking about Unite or are you talking about like the game like the games in general? Because
I
like
mean, like the people that you play with, the teams that you are
mm,
on. Did you first play the game and then find the people who play the game to be on a team with, or did you first have the team and then choose the game?
we had the I mean all of us had played previously the game. Fizzy was originally on BH3 with Mifil from Engage. Leon was playing primarily with Germans, and Snow was on the last year's Gen 5. Whilst me and Tippy were playing together for like a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I had already been very good friends with Snow. We had a bit of a hiccup, but we mended the friendship, and I
Nice.
felt like that brought us like very much more like we became very much better friends, I think. Um, and then like from there we just became better friends. And at one point when he was like, "Oh, I'm looking for a team," I was like, "Hey, you can come with us."
Yeah.
Leon had also been with us last season, towards the last two tournaments, and there we were like we just enjoyed him
Mm-hmm.
playing with us, and we were very happy that he wanted to continue with us. And then Fizzy was the last one to kind of get on board. But from there, like we just had fun, and I think we all found each other through this game, but also want to compete and want to like be the best, you could say, or try to like reach that world spot
Yeah.
in the sense.
I think it's interesting how sometimes if you go through those tough times, it can actually bring you closer together. Like I
Mm,
remember I was doing some in-house matches with Nihat, for example, and
mm,
Nihat totally crashed out because we all died right before the main objective.
ah,
But ironically, this was the match where I said I need to redeem myself, and somehow by utter luck, I was able to
mm.
secure the objective. But by then, Nihat already crashed out and
Oh,
and and
oh
closed this
no.
game, and we could have won. Like all he had to do was defend the pad, but he was sitting
Mm,
in the base. But ever since then, like every time I ever
mm.
talk to him, I bring it up and give him shit for it.
I think that's the best part. Like you could bring so much shit. We have on our team. We've been wanting to make like a compilation of like all the times that we fucked up in scrims, as a way to like laugh at each other, to be like, oh my god, I cannot imagine this happened. I like, or this was a dumb play, to kind of bring like playful banter into the team, because I think that's like what's the best for a team to have. If you're not allowed to make fun of each other, then it's going to be very like hard to make good critiques or good criticisms
Yeah,
when it comes to actual gameplay. Because of course, if you lose a secure because Snorlax somehow got the little millisecond or the little dot of health that the Reggie had left, who cares? There's nothing you could have secured better, yes, but now we're gonna make fun of you for like an entire week. And that's what I love about the team I have right now, that I'm
yeah.
able to make fun of everyone.
I think there's part of that is actually necessary because when you're giving and receiving feedback, you got to be able to kind of let go of your ego a little bit and understand that
Mm,
no matter how good you are, the game does change, and you have to understand that because things change, maybe your past strategies that you've done before isn't as viable
mm,
as it was, and maybe there are new strategies that are more viable, and so maybe you need that feedback and you need someone to give it to you. But you got to also have an environment where people are willing to give feedback, even if it's serious or joking or whatever. And this is where it's like an interesting dynamic because by playing a competitive game like Unite, you got to also face failure quite often, which can be really hard for people with an ego. But on the other
mm,
hand, you got to also have some sort of level of faith in yourself, which kind of is related to having an ego.
mm.
So how have you handled this kind of thing, like with people who might have a really strong ego or something along those lines?
I mean, like it's hard to say, because like I think like there's having an ego and like having faith in yourself. That those are two very different. Like you have to believe that you can do the best that you can, and if you cannot do it, as long as you gave your best, I cannot ask for anything more. And usually if we have like a problem with ego, it's usually just like sit down, talk about it, because I know some people are going to be very defensive, like, oh no, I'm the best player on the team, or like, oh, I was doing the right play all the time. You guys are just not listening to me. It's like, yeah, but then you need to talk to us about it so we can figure and be on the same like
Yep.
headspace as you. And I think like there's also having faith in everyone, because of course it can also just be that you're not listening. Sometimes that maybe it was the correct play, but but everyone else decided not to listen to what you were saying. Then it's about having faith in like your teammates.
Yeah.
And that's where like with the team I have, I won't say we have any large egos. I would say like we're all very like trying our best to be humble and trying our best to like see it from everyone's perspective, especially when we're playing the game, because we know everyone's gonna have a bad day sometimes. Everyone's gonna have a good day. There's gonna be days where we're like on top of the world. There's gonna be days where we lose Ray 6 times in a row because we decided to do something dumb.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that helps like every team possible to have those moments and just have like a sit down. Like in
Yeah.
general, just have a sit down with everyone.
Just have an intervention or whatever.
Yeah, I guess you could say it in that sense, but yeah, you have
I
to have an
like
intervention. Like we're here. This is Rayquaza Anonymous. Do you have anything you want to say about Ray? Yes, I missed the secure.
Something I like to think about in these kind of situations is something called first principles thinking. Have you heard of this before?
No, I have not.
So essentially, first principles thinking is where you take like the basic core principles, ingredients, or
Mm,
systems, and kind of work from the ground up. And in Pokemon Unite, the way I look at it is like you can look at a Pokemon and at the stuff that they scale on, uh, the stats that help them do more damage or take more damage, and
mm,
then from there build up on the strategies, the builds, or the items. And this is kind of how I came up with the Blaziken build that I mentioned before, because I saw, okay, he scales on attack, obviously, he scales on
mm,
HP, and he has HP recovery. So those three things were the reason why I chose those three items, and it was based on this first principles thinking, and I built it up from the ground up. Whereas the other way
mm.
around would be just looking at pros and copying their builds. And
Yeah.
this is why I think first principles is super important in Unite, because then if you apply it, you can come up with these unique builds and strategies that might be unconventional or downright absurd looking in
Mm.
some situations.
Yeah.
Do you
But
have
I think it.
any? Sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's I think like it's always also like that kind of like what's it called? You said first person like
First
how
principles.
is it? Yeah, first principles like it's also based on how the player is, how the player likes to see the game and how they play it. I for life of me cannot play Sylveon because I simply hate the character and I don't see why it's ever good. So if I'm in a Sylveon meta, I'm not gonna play it that well, even if I test with a lot of builds. But if you give me like something where I'm having more fun with it, I think I can you can slowly build up with that and you can slowly like branch off into new tactics. It's also like if you're doing top lane, for example, or you're a player who likes to roam a lot, maybe you play a lot of station and you're roaming a lot, and that's so then you base your teammate has to like build a strategy around that.
Yeah, yeah. I guess your playstyle can be one of the core ingredients, because that's definitely relevant. Like,
Mm,
I also recognize I have a specific playstyle, and I choose the characters that I want to get good at because of that as well. Like,
mm,
I'm not gonna like. I like Mew as a character. I think it's great, but it's just something that I don't really want to get good at. Um, it's not really my play style, if you know what I mean.
mm.
Like my play
Yeah,
style is
yeah.
more like tanky, defender, or all rounder kind of characters, because I like to get in there, brawl, and I don't know, just be frontline and that sort of thing.
Mm. Yeah, I
So
mean, I think I'm on the other side. I like the high stakes kind of characters sometimes. There's some I also like just kind of being able to support my team in those sense. That's why I think I love playing Mew because you can switch between coaching, helping with damage and stuff, or you can help, or you can pick Beam and just go ham on damage.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've always seen that potential for Mew to have XP share, but I just never really played it. But instead, I did Mewtwo X or even Mewtwo
Yeah,
Y. Um,
that's true. Both of them work.
do you have any unorthodox or any like not common strategies or builds that you like to use?
I think I had like I think I was like I had a Greedent build that was like at a point where like when it was like at the height of it, I think I was playing it only as like a scoring monster, not really as like a kill monster, but like score shield, XP share, floatstone, and then like extra score to make sure I can what's called like the goal getter to
Yeah,
make sure I can always like get a point in. And for the longest time, I was running that build. Just to like rob games or just get more like just to make sure I can maybe win or get at least the MVP. And I was running that a lot like when I was starting out the game. Nowadays, I don't think I have that many like off builds. I think I sometimes just forget how the character works. So I sometimes have to have my teammates tell me like, like yeah, having to tell me what the build is for Pokemon because I'm not a person who looks at the numbers. I'm just like, okay, give me a character and I'll play it because I like playing it.
Mm. I'm the quite opposite. When I play
Mm.
something, I go on Unite DB. I look at what they scale on. I look at everything. I'm a very data
Mm.
driven type of person. I look at the numbers and everything that goes under it.
That's fair enough. Like, and that's where like that's where like I think the game is also very fun because everyone is so different. Everyone has a different like idea of how the game should be. Uh, and everyone like sees something more important, you could say, or there's something else that you need to look at.
Yeah. I want to come back to the community aspect in Unite because you mentioned it's something
Mm.
that's big to you. What does a good Unite community look like to you?
I mean, a community that wants to play like everyone is fine playing with everyone, and there's in houses and which I think the engaged community or engaged fight club is doing really well. Is that like everyone can join on in houses. It doesn't really matter of level, which was the problem I think that was in the past, where basically there was one for normal people, for people who go unranked, but then there was also the pro queue, which was like for people who have done top eight. Only those people were allowed into this queue, and that meant like none of the pros were like looking down to help others up or trying to bring someone else into the light of competitive play. But I think like we've been evolving, at least the EU community have been evolving very well. I can't talk about all the other communities, but we've been doing well in kind of being able to grab people and like, hey, you're actually really good at the game. You know how to play the game. Let me play more with you and help you learn better or teach you in some sense. And I think that's what happened primarily with Relly, for example, player like him, where like Nihat just helped pull him into the light and into like the competitive play and just be like, hey, you're really good at the game. Let me just tweak a few things and you'll be even better. And I think that's honestly like really important, especially for like the evolution of Unite and for competitive Pokemon Unite to continue. Because in a sense, if we don't evolve our community, we're not going to end up with any pro teams left, or when all the pros leave, what's then going to happen? We're going to have new random teams, and then it's going
Yeah,
to be a circle again.
yeah. This is, I think, I'm with the belief that this is also why it's kind of important to build up your own name, your own brand, because if you want to be involved with the community, people have to recognize you and start to understand who you are, what you're doing, which is partly the reason why I'm also doing this podcast, but also
Hmm.
kind of for fun. Um, but what's your opinion on that when it comes to building a brand? Do you think that's important?
I think it's like to an extent. I think it's like, important. Like there's definitely still some players who don't have like I for a longest time don't have like a name or a brand or anything. Only recently people like discovered who I was. I think the this is like this year and like last year towards the literal end of the year, people were like, oh hey, he's actually Chariking is actually kind of decent at the game. Um, and therefore like I don't think it's that important. I just think it's always important to kind of like just keep improving at your own pace. Um, you can set a goal for yourself, but just as long as you don't put it against anyone else, because at the end of the day, it's a fight for yourself. You're only against yourself at the end of the day, on that path to self improvement. And at one point, someone will discover you. Someone will suddenly say like, "Oh, this guy's actually really good," which is what happened with Tippy. Tippy, who was playing for a while on different teams, who was like, "Oh, Chari, you actually play really decently." And also a lot of the other teams I was playing on with, so, for example, I think Melo and Jose and Erich, where I was playing with them for a while, and they were like, "Oh, you actually play the game really well. Let's make a team." So
Yeah, yeah.
it's just like kind of try again until you get discovered.
I guess this is where patience is important because you have to be patient to build up these connections and
Mm-hmm.
to make these kind of I don't know, to help understand each other and see how you can team up and that sort of thing.
Mm.
What about when it comes to challenges? What would you say is the biggest challenge you've had so far when it comes to competing in Unite? Was it in tournaments? Does it have to do with community?
I think it's community primarily because I think entering the Unite community was very hard if you're not a part of like the four main nationalities in the game, because there's like a gigant like I'm Danish. There's only been one more Danish person beside me who has played the game. We do not talk about him. He's not that good. Uh, but like if you're not French, there's a gigantic French server, there's a gigantic German server, there's a gigantic Spanish server that you can go into. And that was really hard for me in the start. Like I was playing a lot with people who I still love to this day, but we weren't like title contenders or anything. We were trying our best every day, but it was very hard, and it was like always me kind of having to send a it's kind of always having to reach for the void, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and hope to God something was taking me the right way. And luckily I did, because I suddenly went into a server called Beyblade, where I got to play with some people I play to with today, who I enjoy my friendship with, and they kind of helped me come into the pro community more, or into just the Unite community in general.
Yeah.
But that still took time for me to do that. I think it took me like, because I also had to travel from the game released whilst I was in Mexico, when I was playing with one of my favorite players, Johnny Noms, but I don't know if he plays the game as much. He was an NA player. But then when I moved, I had to kind of reset my entire progress that I had made in Mexico, or in NA in general, and kind of like find the random servers and play on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it does take time. What would you
Mm.
say is what does success look like to you when it comes to competing in Unite?
I mean, success for me is like find the team that you like playing with, and that you're willing to improve with every single day, and that you will stay with throughout, like thick and thin. That's where the reward is for me, because I think then down the road you will get the wins, you will get the tournament wins, you'll get what you like, the goal of the team is, which happened with our team after like playing, after me and Tibby and Leon played with each other since before Worlds. We just fought together and played again and again and again, and at the end we ended up winning the qualifiers. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. I mean, going back to what we mentioned before, like you gotta have some of that thick skin, and you gotta get through the ups and downs and
Mm.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but what would you say is your most memorable experience when it comes to Unite?
I mean, it's a tie between winning the tournament and being in the voice call, winning the qualifiers, or it was my second time around at UIC, because mostly because like I can show you here. I think I have like my notebook where we had like, where was it? Yeah, here it was. We had basically done like an entire like list of drafts against different teams from when we had to play. And when we were doing that in our Airbnb, that was probably one of my favorite times in Unite, because like there we're just friends hanging out in a room together, talking about our passion, talking about our hobby, and just figuring like, okay, this is how we do this. This is how we're gonna do this. This is how it's gonna be tomorrow. And we're gonna try our best, and we're gonna work. And like that's probably my favorite time ever. And I think, and then of course the entire thing about USC and getting to see all the people who I've known online. I think my favorite was probably just like seeing Leo Knaus, which was really funny, because I played with him for a while before, and we were just good friends in general. So I'm excited to see him when we come to USC again.
Yeah, that's something that I'm like that's kind of like my main goal is to be able to attend USC either as a
Mm,
competitor or some sort of collaborator of some sort. I'm not sure.
mm,
It would be nice to go there and maybe do a podcast episode at the event in like the corner
mhm.
somewhere with like one of the casters right before a match or
Uh,
something.
Yeah, I think, you've gotten a lot of people on the show, so I don't think it wouldn't be that hard. Maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, I just have to be consistent. That's the main thing.
Uh,
That's the only thing I'm trying to make sure I do well is to be
yeah,
consistent, because I know that the quality of the podcast is not the best. Sometimes there's audio issues, sometimes there's video quality
uh,
issues, all sorts of nonsense.
yeah. I mean, it will evolve with time, of course. It's like if the consistency improves, it's gonna turn into a better podcast, and I think it's like, which I think is why it's also good that you're making this podcast, because it is pulling like a bit of like attention to Pokemon Unite, and also getting like the players' views on it, because most of the time people just look at the screen and it's like, oh hey, that's a player. He plays the game really well. I like him, I guess now. But with these kinds of podcasts, you can kind of get like more of a personal look into the player and how they see the game, or how they see even like a perspective on how life is, or a perspective on how they see reward, as you asked me before.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I also like to get into the deeper questions, which leads me
Mm.
into the next one here, which is, what would you say are some intrinsic reasons for playing Unite?
Intrinsic, what's that? Sorry.
Intrinsic is like something that you do for yourself that comes from within. The opposite would
Mm.
be extrinsic, which is like doing it for an external reward. Like for example,
Ah,
if
yeah.
you have a job, maybe you have
Mm.
the job because you need to make money, which is an extrinsic reward. However,
Mm.
if you had the job for intrinsic reason, it could be because you enjoy doing that kind of work. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, I see. I mean, I think everyone came into the game with an intrinsic look into it, like, or at least a lot of like the people who hadn't played MOBAs before, because they came into the game thinking like, oh yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna play this with my friends, and we're gonna have a good time. Especially when it's Pokemon, like they might play for a few days and then call it a day, just for like the few seconds of joy. And then afterwards, yeah, it becomes an extrinsic relation where you're just joining because maybe you want to play comp.
Mm.
But even that can be like a reason to, like a personal reason to continue. It
Yeah,
could be
yeah,
that you're really competitive, and you just see like, oh, it's a competitive game. Let me take a shot at it.
yeah.
Let me take a
So,
shot and see where it leads me to.
so one of the commonalities I noticed is that people who want to compete at that level, they don't always do it because they want to get the prize pool or anything like that. They do it
Mm.
because they enjoy, let's say they enjoy the journey, not the destination. Like the journey
Mm.
being competing, getting challenge, having those challenges, and maybe even like finding your tribe, like the people that
Mm.
you can play with. I mentioned this before on a podcast on a previous episode, but I think one of the reasons I do it, for intrinsic reasons why I do it, is because like I believe that like ancient humans in the past, when they used to hunt, um, they would do it in small packs. You know, like they would hunt an animal with five,
Mm.
10 people or something like that. Each of them had their role. But now in today's society, we don't really do that anymore. Like we don't really
Mm.
get a group of guys together and go hunt an animal. So the next best
No, no.
alternative is like competitive games.
Yeah, I mean it's gaming, or just in, like, of course, especially when you're living in different countries, it's especially hard to kind of create those tribes, you could say. And I think video games help with that, and kind of bridge the gap between real life and online. And I think, yeah, with competitive play especially, it's requiring everyone to be on a time and be like, okay, you're here by 8, you're here by 9, you're here by 10. We're doing this, you're doing that, and then we talk about it afterwards. Like it brings system to like a friendship, and that sometimes like helps evolve the friendship longer because now everyone's on the time schedule and everyone knows that they have to be here.
Yeah, for sure. That's something that can be a little hard to coordinate because some people are in different time zones. Like for me right now,
Mm.
it's 9:30. For you, it's what, 8:30, 7:30?
8:30. 8:30.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we already went over that 1 hour mark.
Oh,
So
oh no.
time flies, huh?
It does when you're having fun.
It does, yeah. So let's start wrapping it up. But I wanted to
Mm.
see, like, do you have any questions you wanted to ask or anything you wanted to say?
I mean, what was like when you kind of discovered, because you also made the switch from NA to EU,
This
right?
was before Unite. It was even a thing.
Ah, okay. Fair enough. But what, like, did you have when you joined the Engage servers, for example? What was your perspective on like the EU community?
Honestly, I had no perspective because up until I was invited there, I my main goal was to just try to get into the top ranked, uh I don't know, top whatever it was in ranked.
Yeah.
And then I realized, okay, I've reached a plateau. I need to play on a team, and I need to find a team to play with. So I started trying
Mm.
out for teams, and then that's when my eyes started to open. I started to realize, okay, things are very different when you play with teams. Like I got some very harsh feedback from the get go about my
Mm.
strategies. But even considering that, some of the teams I tried out with still considered me, and I realized stuff that I need to do to improve on. And one of the teams I tried out for was Yashi's team, which is the person
Mm.
who essentially made the Fight Club. And
Mm.
he randomly sent me a message on Discord inviting me to the Fight Club, and then I started participating more, and then I started to get more insight. Oh, there's a community. There's lots of people, and they
There's
hang
people
out.
playing this game. What the hell?
Obviously, there were people playing the game, but I
Yeah,
was,
but now there's like now it's a Discord server suddenly that you could talk to them and be like, "Oh,
yeah,
you into my games? I know who you are now."
yeah. I know where you live. No, I'm kidding.
I know, I know.
No, and it turned out into a different experience, and then also a different learning experience because I realized it's to some degree, some of it is also kind of a popularity contest. Like in, I don't know, it
Mm,
reminds me of like high school. Like the popular kids got all the cool stuff or all the good opportunities,
mm,
and it like I felt like at some point I was like, all right, well, if I want to be popular, which means that's how I find the best teams or how I get invited or how people
mm,
actually respect me. Maybe I need to do something a little different. And down the line, I think that's how I ended up coming up with this idea of doing a podcast
mm,
because I don't think there's a strong correlation between like how well known you are and how good people think you are.
mm.
Although if you get good enough, you will become well known. So
Yeah, yeah.
there is a
I
correlation.
mean, we've seen that happen with Nachos and Resu, who are both, I mean, fantastical players. Honestly, it's amazing what they can do,
Hmm.
and that's led to them being very well known, even from outside of our region.
Hmm. Yeah, I actually had Nachos on a previous podcast, which was fun.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I got to talk to him a bit at UIC. He was a nice guy.
Nice. Wait, by the way, when's the next one? It's in February, right?
It's in February, so
In London,
uh,
right?
in London, it's the Excel Center, which has been there for like every single year now.
Hmm.
And I can tell you that my team at least are very excited to go to it. So,
Nice, nice. Congrats on that, by the way.
mm, thank you.
Well, I might go. I'm thinking of trying to just visit because finding a direct
Mm,
flight to London isn't actually very difficult from where I am now. So it could be a
mm,
thing. I don't know how
yeah.
much are tickets. I don't even know as a guest.
I think you might have. No, I don't know if you've missed it yet. They sometimes they roll out the spectator passes quite quickly and
Oh,
quite like afterwards. But you can always check. I don't know. They might do another round before USC.
I'll see.
Hopefully.
I don't know. I'm quite busy these days, and in the next few months I'll be even busier. So
Mm,
I don't know about that.
yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, if you yeah. But anyway, yeah.
we'll see. But
Mm.
it is a small world, and I'm sure that we'll run into each other at some point. If not
Yeah.
online, in person, in some way, shape, or form.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, if it'll be USC, if it'll be you coming to IKEA and me having to give you the meatballs, that's how it is.
Or maybe swimming in the canal or something.
That is also a possibility.
I'm gonna tell you, I've been seriously considering applying for a master's degree,
Mm.
in Copenhagen. So you
Mm.
never know.
Never know. Maybe I'll see you going down to the canal
Yeah,
as I'm going to
maybe.
school.
I'll pull you into canal. We can swim together.
Exactly. It's going to be a very good time in the freezing waters.
Yes. All right, man. Well, it was good having you on the podcast. I don't want to keep you
Yeah.
for too long. You might have to prepare for your scrims. I think you mentioned
Yeah,
you have
that's
scrims.
true. Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it a lot.
Of course, anytime. If you want to shout out anyone to show
Mm.
up on the podcast, now's your chance. Or if you want to appear on a future episode, that's also an option.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to shout out, I mean, I'd just shout out generally my teammates, Tibby, Fizzy, Snow. I think the one that would be most fun to have on this show would definitely be Dad Leon, especially because he can give you a lot more information, like a lot more depth about like the German community and that how that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we can also do a group podcast as well.
Yeah,
I just wanted to do a
yeah.
one-on-one podcast. It's a different vibe when you have a group. I'm not sure if you
Mm-hmm.
noticed the one I had with Nihat's team. It's a different
Mm-hmm.
vibe. The questions are more about like team dynamic and a lot
Mm-hmm.
more, I don't know, shit talking about each other, giving each other shit.
Exactly. Exactly. So how it is normally for any team.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't really get into like the deeper questions, but still,
Mm.
I did ask someone like if it brings you happiness or something like that.
Mm. Yeah. That's a bag of worms of itself, I think.
It is for sure. Yeah, it did
Yeah.
open up a bag of worms.
Mm.
Cool, man. Well, let's go ahead and leave it off at that.
Mm.
Again, thank you for coming on the podcast. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Thank you for having me.
of course, anytime. And that's it for now.
Mm.
Thank you for the first episode of 2026 Elite Encounter.
Hey, we got it.
Woo!
starting off with a bang, I think.
There you go.